got ourselves a switcheroo a little bit on the team, but Saya gonna be first up on that team versus Ham Joe, the Red Paladina. Question is it double dawn light pally? Is it both double dawn light paladinos? Gonna be a blind onto Ham Joe. Saya catching him with a quick stun. Hamjo could potential trinket. Does go for the trinket. Gums up big hammer. Hold on. So Hamjo is the big hammer build. Saya, I don't know if you expect it or not. Shield Divinance up immediately. He's going to go for a trinket instantly. I don't think he wants Hamjo to get any kind of resets on the hammer. Does he get the tier set? Does he have the double hammer thing? Lay on hands for Hamjo. Saya may potentially be looking at a lay on hands of his own. That or a spell warden. He's not getting real low. Does go for a spell warden. Hamjo might be in a situation where he'd be looking at a bubble, possibly. He's gonna go for a bubble here. Big hammer onto Saya. Saya may potentially be looking at a bubble of his own. If Hamjo can get himself some huge damage, does go for the bubble. Hamjo just needs survivability. Everything to live. Does he have enough right now? He won't be able to lay on hands for a sec. Actually, he doesn't even have lay on hands, but Saya does end up taking him down with continuous back-to-back dawn light hits. With Thick Bolt's going to be up next as an affliction. The thing about the Paladin though, I don't even know if the guy has the double tier, has the tier set for the double hammer. But if Hamjo does have the hammer build, I guess he just didn't get a crit like we saw Lace doing it, eh? Gonna be Mordecai sent to Saya, does go for immediate trinket. No, best like blessing a saint, so he actually reduces that heavily. Thick Bolts does go for full dots on Saya. Actually, hold on a second. That's going to be Dark Layer. Full dots are in. Hold on. Actually, Yue is in. I don't know if he wasn't able to get his whole Soul Harvester dot, unfortunately. Not Soul Harvester dot. What's it called? Soul. Chat, help me out. Jake, help me out. What is it called? The big Night Fade dot. That's not a Night Fade dot anymore. I forget. Shield Divinance up for Saya. Just trying to see if he can rest away the dots a little while he's shielded up. Haunt is up. There's going to be some big bolts out of Thick Bolts. Full spell warden. Got himself a bit of the reflect in case there's a hot meet him. Thick Bolt's still going to take a lot of the dawn light damage, unfortunately. Still got a wall in case he needs to. Pally versus Pally is insane. But yeah, Pally versus Pally is some nutty work, honestly. Yue, all the dots are in. Saya in the fear. Soul Rod. There it is. Soul Rod. That's what it is. I forgot, unfortunately. Malefic Rapture while wall is up. Blind out of Saya. Is the guy gonna lift this? I think it's a bit too much dot damage for the man. I think it's just over for him. Yeah. Unfortunately, Saya does go down. The Paladin is not immune to diseases from a Warlock. Well, not literal diseases, but dots. Soul Rot, thank you. Yeah. There's a bit of a delay. Slight delay. But Soul Rot. I don't know why I forgot it. I think it's because I haven't played Affliction in a second. Goer's full fear into thick. Are you Orc? I was gonna say, are you Magar? Void Torrent. But he's not playing the Void Torrent build. Hold on. Are you not the Rift build? You are the Arkham build, or are you not? Goer's is the Arkham build. But looks like Shadow Bolts from Thick Bolts are doing a lot more damage than Goer's was trying to do. Hold on a second. Got himself some flash shields. Drain left out of Thick Bolts. Try to see if he can reverse out of here. That's going to be a big gateway to get over with the Malefic Raptors from a distance. He doesn't necessarily need to be like super close to go over some Malefic Raptors. As long as he has line of sight, those Raptors will still connect. They don't really have a range to them, not necessarily. Does go for a quick interrupt. Bolts is still continuing to fly. And as long as Thick Bolts can get those procs of Shadow Bolts, he'll do a lot of damage to Goer's. He's got a great mix of sustained damage. Rift was not going to connect, unfortunately, but it's got a good mix of sustained damage as well as burst damage with those procs of Shadow Bolts too. It is really, really good. Goer's does get himself a big volley. Dark backed up for Thick Bolts. It's going to go for a Dark Glare. I do wonder if Yue and all those other dots wore up on Goer's when Dark Glare were summoned, because you do get to extend those dots, but do you have the full roster of dots there? Dark Ascension, that's how you know Goer's is going to want to get in there to do some damage. Fade, but doesn't get to fade the Mortal Coil of Fear right after Soul Rot. All the dots are in. Thick Bolt's got the most amount of burst damage. Goer's trying to see if he can close that gap. Fear is available very, very soon. But Thick Bolt's just trying to see if he can back up out of there. Let the dots do the work. Shadow Bolts from behind the pillar. Stunned, does have a trinket for it. Looking to get him to CC into a Fear right after. Goer's got himself another Dark Ascension. Does he have the burst though? Void Torrent is available. He's going to have himself a big proc to follow. Reflect up for Thick Bolts with a Hunt. Does get silenced. Big volley. And both the Priest and the Warlock are just exchanging blows. Quick Fear. Massive Hunt devours a huge portion of Goer's health bar. Shadow Bolt does connect, doing a ton here. Thick Bolt just sees a little bit of damage. Does get himself a Reflect interrupt just for a second. Goer's is barely hanging in by that VE. Barely hanging in by VE. But it looks like the Warlock does end up extinguishing his soul at the end of the day, with the Rig gonna be up next. Still playing Adaptation. which is super unusual. But he is playing adaptation. Weird. Got himself reflect, stun onto Thick Bolts. Thick Bolts try to get some UAs, but Warlock Healthstone is at least available in the back pocket. He's got one. He does have some defenses coming back in little by little, but unless he can go for like Drain, I honestly think just doing for Soul Rot on those pets just to recover health may not be the worst move, because those pets can be stacked up together and Soul Rot is just gonna leech health off of him passively. Soul Rot on the pets may not be the worst move. May not be the worst move, but nah, he does not commit it. I know you normally want to put Soul Rot on the guy you're trying to kill, but like any kind of healing when you have no health, Soul Rot on all these pets, and it's just gonna like melt them, but also gonna heal you a ton. Siona gonna be out next though, as yet another Shadow Priest over for the team one, chasing after Rick. However, Rick is actually a little bit more mobile than a Shadow Priest. Normally Warlock's a priest. Like when it comes to just like, you know, traveling from A to B, they're both kind of slow. However, Warlock supports and gates, and him being a Drakthir does give him that glide ability too, so he can actually gain a little bit extra movement speed than a normal walk speed. So he's like slightly ahead of Siona, just enough to stay away from him, just enough to get a full Chaos Mode barreling down at him the entire time, and Rick is able just to avoid Siona for the most part. The pets, however, do your pets die? Oh no, they got feared. Main pet got feared, but now he's got a whole army of them. With a Tyrant, everything available, stun around the corner. Siona may be looking for a disperse here, potentially. Does get hit with a fear. I think it might be a disperse situation. I tried not to use disperse immediately. Well needed here, but instead, before they can even press it, Overlord comes in out of nowhere. A big axe hit right from overhead, taking down the Shadow Priest down to size, with Rest in Hell trying to see if he can close the gap. Trying to see if he can get himself a bit of that payback from last game. Rick porting out with the Gloomhound available. Gateway immediately. Haunt still connects either way, though. I don't think Reflect can reflect the Haunt back at him, can it? The Rest in Hell got himself with a lot of damage. Fear out for Rick. Got himself a little bit of health. Wall still available in case he needs to. Maybe looking for a wall here. He got him some more pets joining in. Rest in Hell up in air. Rick, unless you can find some cover, I think you're going to line the lances. Oh, no, the lances. Oh, as soon he caught him without mobility, dude. And there's nothing you can do unless you can port. But that's on cooldown. Unless you can gate, that's on cooldown. Just lance dude down. Rest in Hell walking out into Eloise, however, imprisoned immediately. Rest in Hell walking into this duel, however, with not a lot of health to work with. Maybe looking at potentially using defenses versus Elo, especially since the Metamorphosis full damage does go for immune. Does go for immune and may need to go for a full darkness. Elo up in the air trying to get some freebie damage on him. Does get at least one lance in there. Rest in Hell trades the Glaive Toss, can empower your next few abilities. Maybe there's going to be a Metamorphosis angle with a big Soul Cleave. Not Soul Cleave. Essence Break. Probably going to have to break Essence Break here. Elo taking a load of damage though in that burst. Sigil's Fear for a second. Going to be Elo's. Got himself a lot of damage. Darkness down for Elo. That's going to be Rest in Hell backing up out of there while Blur is active. Try to see if he can get some damage onto Elo. Ripping away as many soul fragments from Elo as possible to catch him some healing. And look at that glaive. Looks like it left him kind of a dot into a stun. Yeah, taking him out. Good glaive toss. However, you're stuck now out in the open without a trinket, without a paddle, and with a sub-rogue right on your heels the entire time. You do have Spectral Sight, as well as eyeballs on the other side of the arena, so maybe you can catch the rogue. You're just gonna deny the rogue any kind of a big go. That's all you can do. Maybe pre-darkness one of the rogues goes, but also you could disengage or ritual treat a stun. Getting a stun on rogue early on, especially now that the trinket is huge. Backing away immediately, flying up in the air, not letting the rogue have any damage, especially through the blades, is diabolical, and your trinket is back up and available. If you can meld a stun from the rogue, Rest in Hell potentially could bring this duel back for his team. Sap from what feels like a mile away by the rogue is going to be potential trinket. Does go for the trinket. Full stun lock is available onto the Spurshka. Going for a Sigil of Fear. Control into a hunt right after it. Blind by the rogue. Still taking a lot of damage though. But now the rogue is under control, or potentially could be under the control of the Demon Hunter. The Glade Toss does connect. Metamorphosis around the corner, reaping up to the rogue. That's going to be gouged for a second for Dusmershka. It's an opportunity to land a stun. An opportunity to land a stun or get stunned yourself. Darkness is to come out for Rest in Hell. Does back up out of there to make sure he can dodge any kind of stuns. More Sigil. Oh, and the eye beam at the end. Woo! Yo, Rest in Hell is super fun to watch, man. Thickbolt's got a lot of damage out of that match, but Rest in Hell, dude. I can't believe he was able to get this lance kill. A lance kill onto Rick, man. There ain't no way he flew up in the air knowing that, okay, Rick is out of mobility. I'm going to have the most amount of damage for this guy. There ain't no way, dude. I think he was just trying to dodge a CC and then just turned out that Rick has no outs at all. That was perfect.